First off, a huge thanks and shout out to the awesome folks over at Community Ford of Mooresville for allowing me to come out and film and review this 1990 Chevrolet Corvette. It turned out to be a gorgeous evening on October 24th, 2024. The sky was bright blue, the fall colors really popping. A huge change from earlier that day where we had a cold drizzly rain with dreary gray clouds and just caused everything to have these gross dust spots. Unfortunately, because of that, we have a dusty car that wasn't able to be sprayed off in time. For over 3 decades, it's America's sports car, and in 1990 the legend rolls on, introducing the 1990 Chevrolet Corvette. Bold, aerodynamic, and unmistakably Corvette. Dressed in dark red metallic paint, and appointed with a dark charcoal leather cockpit, this C4 is the perfect marriage of timeless styling and cutting-edge technology. Under the hood, the legendary L98 5.7-liter 2-point injection V8 engine delivers a wallop of American horsepower, smooth, confident, and always ready to run. With the world-class performance and a look that turns heads from every angle, the 1990 Corvette isn't just built for the road, it's built for the driver. The Corvette from 1990 is still the one and still the standard. Still the heart of a driving revolution. Our car was built at the Corvette Assembly Plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky in June of 1990. Hello everyone. In today's latest episode of the in-depth review series, we are taking a look at this very nice and very well equipped, very well maintained and low mileage 1990 Chevrolet Corvette. This is just a standard Chevrolet Corvette Coupe. It does have the removable Targa roof. It is a blue tinted window that is removed by using the included Allen head wrench. It is quite a task, although it can be stored in the back. Today's car is painted in dark red metallic, and it does feature the dark charcoal black leather interior. Now, if I can find it online, full pricing will be shown on screen with a full options list will be in the description box below. This will be a full in-depth review. We're going to cover everything from the exterior to the interior, powertrain, fuel economy, and everything else in between. Now, of course, it is no stranger that this channel loves the C4 Corvette, because when I was a kid, this was the Corvette. Opening the hood on the car is easy. Under the driver's side dash is an infographic showing where the release is. The entire fiberglass unit lifts easily on forward hinges and to display the small block 350 cubic inch 5.7-liter pushrod 16-valve LT1 V8 engine. This engine is of cast iron block aluminum head construction with electronic sequential multi-port fuel injection, or what GM called at the time, tune port injection, and it sports a 10.5-to-1 compression ratio. This engine creates 300 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and 330 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. Road and Track magazine tested their Corvette from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds. 0 to 100 miles per hour came in at 12.6 seconds, with the quarter mile hitting in at 14.1 seconds at 102 miles per hour. Top speed on this car is limited to around 160 miles per hour. Enough about the engine though, let's hear it rev. 1990 Corvettes were equipped with a 20 US gallon fuel capacity, and they consumed about 5.6 gallons per 100 miles driven, with an estimated total driving range of around 360 miles. EPA fuel economy figures are 15 miles per gallon in the city, 22 miles per gallon on the highway, and a combined average of 18 miles per gallon. While a 6-speed manual transmission was standard equipment, our car is equipped with the no-cost option 4-speed turbo-hydromatic 700R4 automatic transmission. It features 3-position selective ride control with Tour, Sport, and Performance modes, and acceleration slip regulation control. Steering is hydraulically assisted variable rate rack and pinion with 2.3 turns lock-to-lock and a 40-foot turning radius. Equipped with 17-inch aluminum wheels up front, true to Corvette style, they are staggered in size. Up front, we have 17 by 8.5-inch wheels, and they are shot in 255/45 ZR17 tires. The rears measure 17 by 9.5 inches, and they are shot in the 285/40 ZR17 tires. Brakes on the car are power-assisted 4-wheel disc brakes, and they are equipped with Bosch ABS. Front and rear, we have 12-inch vented rotors with sliding low-drag calipers. The brakes on the car can halt from 70 miles per hour to 0 in 173 feet. Really good for that time period. As we walk along the rear, taking a look at the rear design, we're going to go cover it in more detail, of course. But as you can see, perfectly round tail lamps. You have the classic Corvette logo, quad exhaust tips. Just a really cool car. Like I said before, this was the Corvette from when I was a kid. Alrighty, around the rear of the Corvette, it looks just a little bit different than the rest of the 1990s C4, and that is because this is pre-facelift, so it does still have the older original C4 design from the 1980s. Still a very good looking car, and as you can see, it does have the new interior, but we'll go over all that. I do love the hatch back here, the nice flush mounted glass. Does have the third brake light up on top. Coming down into the fiberglass rear trim, you do have the rear marker lights back here. And you've also got the iconic circular tail lamps. Perfectly round on this car. They're more of an oval rectangle on the newer cars, but just standard incandescent bulbs. You do have the Corvette badge on the back, and of course the other bulbs down below. And then down here, the dual quad-tipped exhaust here, very cool. You have your reverse lights in the back of the license plate plinth. And then of course your fuel door houses the Corvette logo. Now as we walk along the profile, you'll actually see the on-screen dimensions of how low and long this car is. It looks short, but actually it's pretty decently sized. I feel like these still look good even to this day, even though the C4 doesn't really have the same reputation as the rest of the Corvettes. I actually think they are poorly judged, in my opinion. And walking along the front, just like we did in the rear, we're going to cover the front in detail. But the car looks really good with the headlamps closed. To me, it looks more like the Trans Am up front, but I just really like the aerodynamic wedge shape. It's a very Coke bottle shape. And I think even, 24, 34 years later, this car still looks really, really good. Before we get into the front end styling in detail, let's go over the lighting. Of course, we have flip-up headlights that actually kind of roll over and up, as well as fog lights and GM's trademark sequential flashing front and side indicators. Also, the Corvette has front cornering lights as well. In addition, we have higher visibility rear lights, which happens when you have the headlights on and place the car in reverse. I didn't film that on this 1990 car, but I did on the 1987 model, which is shown here. A true oddity which I don't think I've ever seen before. In fact, I was tipped off of this feature from a viewer a while back. Alright, now looking up front, of course the Corvette does have pop-up headlamps. They are just a halogen headlamp. However, the units actually open up kind of uniquely. They actually roll over itself and then opens up to reveal the headlamps. And of course they also contain the high beams. And of course, up front you do have the front turn indicators, front fog lamps, and then of course you've also got the front cornering lamps as well. Cornering lamp housing there. Of course you have your side indicator, halogen headlamp there, and then the front kind of looks more like the Trans Am, but of course you have your incandescent turn indicator here, and of course your fog lamps are down below. On the front license plate cover you do have the Corvette logo or badge, and then on the top of the hood you have the Corvette. Alright, now before we get inside, let's take a look and see what we have for keys. We have GM's dual key setup, the round key here. All of the keys in this era were single bladed keys, but the round key operates your door locks and your trunk release. And then our other key, which is the square key with the plastic head, and it does have the chip in it as well. This is your ignition key, and that chip is the actual chip encoder for the theft lock and all that kind of stuff. This car is also equipped with an aftermarket keyless remote entry system. So we have the panic, the hatch release, the lock and unlock buttons as well, and they all do function on this car. Now the car is already unlocked, so let's go ahead and open it up and see what we have inside. Nice long solid opening doors reveal a very cool interior, very 90s. However, you'll notice that even though this looks like the early 80s C4 Corvette, it actually has the newer interior. Let's go ahead and take a look at the door trim real quick. Nice soft touch vinyl trim, kind of looks like leather, but it's not. And it has a different grain on the bottom. Just the upper half has that nice broad grain. Down below is a little bit more smoother finish. Inside the inserts where your armrest, that also has that wider grain. This car would have illumination. I think the bulbs are burned out, but the lights are up in here. This is your door pulls here. This is your door locks. Of course, we have power mirrors. The mirrors are heated on this car, and power windows as well. Door pulls, this is all like a graphite colored plastic. The entire lower portion of the door is covered in carpeting, and you'll note the high sill. And you can kind of see on the door, this cutout is where those two meet. It is a very high sill for this car, so getting in and out can be cumbersome. On the face of the dash, you'll notice this little logo here with an arrow. That does reveal where your hood release is, which is right down in here. And take a look at the footwells. Unfortunately, this car only has 2 pedals because it is an automatic transmission car. You'll note how narrow the footwells are though, and the carpets inside kind of give tail to that. There is a huge transmission tunnel in this car because of the massive transmission. The underside of the dash is covered in carpet, and of course you have GM's infamous under steering column air vent. You know what they call them. But anyway, there you go. Now taking a look at the instrument panel, we do have an adjustable air vent on this wing of the instrument cluster. We have our light controls here. Just manual controls. Instrument panel dimmer switch is right here. Fog lamp control is here. Your tilt steering lever is right here, and it does tilt the steering wheel, but it does not telescope. Looking down, we do have our handbrake is right here, but it is a flyaway style. So you can engage the parking brake and then push it back down to lower or release the parking brake, lift up, and then pull down again. Now this car does have the optional articulated sport bucket seats. So we have various controls here. This switch controls our upper seat back control. And this controls our side bolsters. You can kind of see them closing in. Makes it much more grippier. And to make it less aggressive, you can fold them out. On this side, you'll notice we have the lumbar support here. This will inflate and deflate your lumbar, and then you can individually deflate the upper cushion, middle cushion, and the lower cushion with these buttons here. The seats in this car are extremely supportive. They are still very comfortable even to this day. They are a very thin shell bucket seat. The headrest is integrated into the entire assembly. We do have the Corvette logo stitched into the upper portion of it, and really nice black leather stitched. We have all the rolled up cushions here. They make for a supremely comfortable cockpit. Another unique feature is GM's seat belts that they used back in this day. They have two retractors, and they're folded right here in the middle, and they just work normal. All right, let's check out the rest of the interior. All right, and now that we're inside, let's pan through the interior and show more details. As you can see here, steering is hydraulically assisted. It is very stiff though. Nice thick leather wrapped rim. You do have the Corvette emblazoned in the airbag cover, and a small little Corvette logo here that comes into the split seal or split seam for the airbag to come out. Unfortunately, because this car is 34 years old, I imagine that the airbags are actually expired, so the inflatable restraint light is lit. No controls on the steering wheel, save for the horn button, and what a horn this car has. Take a listen. Huh. Okay. Alrighty. Multifunction control switch. Very typical of GM from this era. It houses everything. It does your turn indicators, it does your high beams flash to pass, your wiper washer controls, and your cruise control. The little switch over here, it says cruise, off, on, RA, and then on the side it says set. So on turns the cruise control on, set will set the cruise control, and the RA is resume, accelerate. So if you hit your brake, you can hit resume, and it will resume back to the normal speed, or while you're in cruise, you can actually accelerate or speed up, and it will set the new speed doing that. And of course, to turn it off, you just turn it off. Very clever little switch. I actually like that. Taking a look at the instrument cluster, very typical GM and very uniquely a Corvette. No other GM car had this cluster, save for the Corvette. It is all orange backlit, but all the numbers and everything in this car are marked in orange anyway for even daylight viewing. But you'll notice you have a bunch of warning light indicators surrounding the outer rim, blazoned with the unleaded fuel only at the top. And of course, you have your high beams and turn indicators. Over here, you have your 6,000 RPM tach, LCD digital readout for speed, your mileage, your mileage. Right now, at the time of this recording, we have 33,792 miles on this car. And it does show your fuel gauge. It is just a digital display readout. And it shows our range here. It says 52 miles to empty. However, using this trip monitor area, we've got instant average buttons, range, English metric, trip odometer, and our resets. So in instant average, we'll change that display to instant miles per gallon and average miles per gallon, which is showing 7.8, which I don't believe is accurate. And then of course our range goes back to 52. English to metric changes it over to kilometers, and our trip odometer resets the odometer to show 16.3 miles on the trip. And then over here you have another bank of gauges. You have your oil pressure and PSI, you have your oil temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, coolant temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, and your voltmeter. And the owner's manual states that none of these gauges are actually linear, so just because it's in the middle doesn't mean it's like a certain level or anything like that. There's a calculation for it. Anyway, all right, moving over to the top of the dash, as you can see, the instrument cluster is flanked by two large wings. And we're going to come over to this section of it on the right hand side and kind of come down, and it's going to be our driver's side area. Very cockpit designed and very driver oriented. We have a large air vent here. It is positional here. It is mainly for the driver. And then of course we have our trip commuter controls, auxiliary warning light bank, and then over here we have our electronic temperature control. So we can set our temperature here, we can set our fan speed here, defroster, rear window defroster, panel distribution, recirculate, auto, and turn the system completely off. And then over down here we have an aftermarket Pioneer audio system, and it does have Sirius XM satellite radio capabilities, Bluetooth and USB and all that kind of stuff. And you do gain a small little storage binnacle as well. Very nice. Sadly, we don't have a manual transmission, but we have our automatic transmission. Very nicely designed. It falls nicely at hand, especially when you're driving. Makes for a nice wrist support. But as you can see, it does have leather on the knob, the leather boot. You have your call outs here for the Prindle. And over here, we have cup holders and a 12-volt power supply. Here is our seat controls, fore and aft, and of course, up and down and all that kind of stuff. Nice large padded central armrest, and it does open up to reveal some storage inside. And this is the tool to use to remove the top. You've also got your trunk release and then some warning stuff. And it is lockable as well. So yeah, that is the interior, the driver's cockpit of the Corvette. Just being a two-seater. Don't have much else to show. The way that dash is formed is quite astonishing that it's not warped or anything. You have another little vent here. Now, this is the 90s, so we didn't have a passenger side airbag until later. So in its place is a locking glove box. And of course, inside is the owner's manual and all that kind of stuff. And then down here, we have 3 positional air vents for the passenger. Well, actually, only 2 of them. The 2 outside ones are positional. This center one is fixed in place. And of course, the multiple, plentiful controls over here for windows, locks, and all that kind of stuff.
I'm not sure I understand.
Floating the sun visor down. It does have illuminated vanity mirrors, but the lights are burned out. And of course, the sun visor only swings out. It does not slide out or anything like that, so that is the coverage you get. Alright, there are actually several ways to open the hatch on this car. The first way is here on the driver's side door. On the opening, you'll see this little switch here. If you press that down, that'll actually pop the glass. Of course, the other way is by opening the armrest, pressing that button here. The other way is on the side of the passenger door. That same switch is there as well. And that'll also open up the trunk. And you can also use the key fob as well. Now, the hatch actually opens up on 2 gas struts. Sadly, these struts are actually starting to lose their charge, so they don't stay open anymore. So we'll just take a look at it through here. But as you can see, it's a pretty nice deep well here. It also has provisions to store that top. And of course, back here is also illuminated. You've also got the subwoofer and amplifier back here for your Delco Bose Gold Series sound system. It is padded and carpeted back here, and it does have 2 concealed locking storage compartments, which we'll take a look at here in just a second. So yeah, that's it. That is the trunk space of a Corvette. To close it, just like that. All right, so back here we have both of those little storage compartments. As stated before, they're both locking. and you can open up either side individually. And there's not a whole lot of storage space inside them, but as you can see, it does have a small amount of concealed storage, which is better than nothing, especially in a car of this size. And then over here on this side, behind the passenger seat, you'll notice that. And then of course you also have the instructions for the wheel wrench and jack location as well. But there you go. Alrighty, and there you have it, the 1990 Chevrolet Corvette. We hope you found the review informative, and if you did, please comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/neighborhoodcarreviews and our Instagram channel at BrentSoJ1. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.